We talk about the core a lot in Pilates, and what do we really mean by the core? There are several different definitions of the core. For our purposes, I like to think about the three layers of the core and what their individual specializations are. So we're going to start with the outermost layer. So all of the muscles on the outermost layer of your torso, they are used in movement, but they're not just used in Pilates movement, they're used in big, generous, three-dimensional movement. And when they're used in big, generous, three-dimensional movements, it means that there is a requirement that all of the muscles can slide or glide over the muscles that are close by. So some of the exercises we do in Pilates are very generous, three-dimensional movements that will get rid of some little adhesions in between those layers of muscles and allow for greater movement ease. So the outer layer has a specialization in core ease. The middle layer is about core strength. So our braceability, our ability to brace against a force. You could use it in plank. You certainly use it in any of the more strenuous, dynamic style Pilates mat exercises. And these muscles are knitting into a web, a circular web, like a corset that includes some of the shoulder stabilizers. And that corset allows us to resist force. So, for example, if someone was going to bang into us, going to run into us, we'd be able to kind of lock these muscles and this tissue into a cylinder of strength. So the second layer, the middle layer, we could call that specialization core strength. The very deep layer is core stability. And core stability is really about keeping a delicate part of our bodies, our low back, a little bit more supported and stable, especially, once again, if there is a force going to be driven down through that. Force is driven down through that simply when we walk. The core stabilization aspect of Pilates is far more subtle than the other two. And really, it's about figuring out the very deepest level or layer of muscles and how little effort is required in engaging those to do quite simple tasks. So one task that we do is just simply lifting one leg. And as we lift a leg, we start with beginners by exhaling, because it's on the exhalation that we can allow the muscles of the core, the pelvic floor and the diaphragm, thoracic diaphragm, to gently lift, and for what's called the transverse abdominis, a circular muscle around the center of your lower abdomen, to engage. At this stage, core stability, we're simply requiring that this area stays stable. So we're trying to make sure that we use as much effort as possible, as much effort as necessary, and as little effort as possible to keep this stable as a leg lifts, instead of allowing that pelvis to move as a leg lifts. When we learn to stabilize this quite vulnerable part of our bodies, we can automatically decelerate any movements there once again, especially if a force is going to be sent through that area, especially at speed. So we have 3 different specializations: core stability, core strength, and core ease.